A pleasant good afternoon and good evening. Good afternoon from sunny North Carolina, and good afternoon, good evening from
What is
sunny
it doing outside?
Liberia. It's hot.
What day is it? What time
I
is
can see the
it?
avocados. Uh, so now you kind of know what's going to happen today, right?
Right. We're all over the place. We don't know. We don't know where we are in
Hey.
time and space.
But hey, March 12 EP. We know it's March 12, season 6, EP4. How are you doing, Traci?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well, Wulwyn. How are you doing?
I am better. I'm great. I'm excellent. Copacetic. I'm just all over the place. I'm good.
All over the place. Yeah. So how are the? I mean, you said something about avocado.
But this. Yeah, I'm centered. Even though I'm all over the place, I'm still centered. Yeah. So we've dad planted a couple avocado trees in the yard. Some mangoes, coconuts, banana, plantain, cassava, soursop. So it's a little farm here going on, but the avocados are coming on well. They're pretty good. So I can't wait to just open them up and eat with rice, eat with bread, just eat it, just stuff on them.
That is one of the staples in this household. We have avocados and plenty of them all the time. And so when you said back when you planted the avocados, like, oh my God, if I only could grow avocados here, I would be in heaven. But you know what we like? How we like to have them is something we call rice dish. So you just said it with rice. So it's rice, it's chopped up tomatoes, chopped up avocado, and then the dressing is olive oil, lemon, and then any seasonings you might want. We like to use like spices, jalapeno, stuff like that, some a little bit spicier. Yeah. But it is, and then aminos. Sometimes people like to put the aminos in there, which is like a soy-based, it's almost like soy sauce, but not really. Bragg's aminos is what we use, but it's really just so basic and so good. Have it for dinner and have it for breakfast.
It's good. I'm telling you. Yeah. I run in the kitchen. I run in the kitchen at 11 o'clock and I take some pita bread, open one up, smash it in there.
Yep.
Good snack.
Totally. Good snack. Yeah, no, it's good for you.
Wow. 2 weeks have passed very quickly.
They have. Yeah. One of my clients just said that this morning. She was like,
2 weeks.
Has it really been 2 weeks? Yeah. So you said you have a lot going on.
How have you been?
Really centered.
Mhm. Where you think you're busy. So scenario could be you're busy doing a whole lot, and your body, gosh, I'm getting an analogy that's pretty cool. You know how you drive from, do a long drive, interstate drive, and when you get home and you're in the bed, your body is still in motion. You
Hmm.
feel like
Hmm.
you're still going forward. I don't know if it happens to you, but I
Yeah.
still feel like I'm uh in this state where a lot is going on. It's busy, it's good business, right? I am minding my business. I am minding my business and being strategic in doing everything I'm supposed to do, and a list. So where we have this whiteboard that Verlin has on her side, 20 things that she has to do. But 2022, I have the same, and it's just doing it, but not, oh, this is I gotta do this. I gotta no. I'm centered in doing it because everything on the board is geared towards a point that we want to get to. But the thing is, it's not running us to say, we got to do this. There's something. It's good for us. We're gonna do it. This is gonna push our family, gonna push individually and into our collective family one step ahead. So does it make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. Well, and what's great is, I think we're all like, some people are more than others. They say men tend to be more visual than women. I don't know about that because I'm pretty visual. I do tend to learn more
Mhm.
auditorily, but I'd say audio and visual are like really big for me. But anyway, it's good to have that visual. I mean, I know a lot of people say they like the kinesthetic checking of boxes. Like they actually like to have something on paper so they can check
Oh.
the boxes because it makes them personally feel like they've achieved something. And so it's really important to know what kind of like person you are, because there's no right or wrong. It's just what intrinsically motivates you, right? Is it the physical? Do you like to see it up there so that it's a reminder of what you're working towards? Do you like to see it there so you can physically, take that off the list, and kind of like it's those people are gut instinct people, the ones that like to physical. The kinesthetic people are the ones that they like to have a felt sense in their body of accomplishment, right? And so,
Hmm.
whatever it is that intrinsically motivates you to keep going, that's important, right? So that's what I was hearing, is that you and Verlin have created this visual as a representation, not only of what you each get to do, right? Not what you have to do. We don't have to really ultimately do anything.
Mm.
We get to do things because we choose to do them. We can tell
Mm-mm.
ourselves all sorts of stories like, no, taxes, I have to do. No, we get to. We get to because we live in a land where we have the freedom to do certain things, but it also means that, we're
Mm.
supported in ways that we get to give back to. Right. So, and I won't even get into,
Yeah.
what people are saying today about where that money goes and all that. But the whole point being that, I'm not here to argue those points, but it's your get to list, right? I get to do this because, I get to be in this partnership, that I get to do my part to achieve certain things within, right? And
Mm.
that's a
Yeah,
privilege. That's a privilege. I mean, life is a privilege. The fact that we're
it
even
is.
living and breathing is a privilege. And I think we forget that oftentimes because we
Mm.
get in the rat race of our lives and we don't like what's going on, or we do like what's going on, and we can get totally into that and neglect the other things. But whatever it is, we lose track of, privilege tends to be, ever since 2020 and DEI went terribly wrong, the word privilege has taken a nasty
Mm.
turn. But I like to
Do
bring
you
back
guess
the
what,
original meaning.
Tracy?
What?
Guess what?
Hmm.
Do you know that if I can show you my notes, when you saw me put my face back and forth, I'm getting my one note on the screen,
Getting
and
your
I
one
put
note
the
on.
date because I take the notes while we're having a show. And when you talked, do you know the question that I had? You know what? I like proof. Let
I
me show
proof.
you
I
something.
want to
Let me
show
share
everyone
this. And for those
what
who,
I'm looking at.
yeah, I just like it. Show your screen. And for those, I'm sharing my screen with Tracy to show just how we are. We're in
In
tune.
sync?
I'm telling you,
Yeah, we're in sync for sure.
we're in sync. Do you
And
see it,
not the boy
Tracy?
band.
No, no. But do you see my the screen? Where's
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
makes it privilege?
What makes
I was
it a
gonna say
privilege? This is from last time?
life. You said life. So my question, no, no, no. This is today. This is
Oh,
three
got it, got it,
twelve
got it.
25. And when you
Sorry.
were saying it's a privilege for us to do, and then you went into talking about privilege and DEI, when I just laughed because you're going into my next question to you was, so Tracy, tell me in fact, define what privilege is, and then let's go into. Oh my goodness. So continue.
Yeah, welcome to being me. Well, you know, because you're a visionary too. Our heads are 10 steps forward. I mean, people always say, why is it so hard? I get this question all the time. Why is it so hard for visionaries to be patient?
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, do you know a visionary? I mean, it's because we're 10 steps ahead. We already know what you're going to ask. We already know what you're going to say. And it's not assumption. Like it's not like, oh, I have a crystal, like I'm all that and I know, that's not where we just do. Like it's
Mm-mm.
like, sorry, I already know where we're going to end this conversation
Mm.
to some extent, not details, but
Oof.
there's a knowing, right?
Mhm,
There's a
mhm,
gnosis. Um,
mm.
anyway, privilege, back to privilege.
Wow.
But the concept
Uh-huh.
of privilege in its, in my opinion, in its pure form is
Mhm.
an opportunity to be, right? The privilege of living is an opportunity to be alive, right? The privilege of
Mm.
of marriage is the opportunity to be in a partnership that is that particular dynamic, that intimate, romantic dynamic, and other things, right? Partnership of life, partnership,
Mm.
many things, right? Multiple layers.
Mm.
It's the privilege. It's the opportunity to be. And
Mm.
you know how
Mm.
we choose to be. That's why how we choose to be is so important. Who we choose to be, how we choose to be, where we choose to be, and why we choose to be, right? What do I choose to be in this moment? And sometimes I choose to be an instigator. If you
Mm.
ask people who know me well, that's a lot of the time. I can't help it. Just the way I was drawn. You ever saw Roger Rabbit?
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but we get to, like, what do I choose to be right now? Do I choose to be quiet and silent and be the listener? Do I choose to be, and that's a minute to minute or moment to moment
Mm.
decision that we can consciously make. How I choose to be is my delivery of that what, right? Once I choose what I'm going to be, then I get to choose how I deliver that what, right? But all of those
Yeah.
are all a privilege, right? It's the privilege of choice. It's the freedom of choice. I get to choose at all moments, no matter how the outside world is affecting me or treating me. I get to always choose
Mm.
what I choose to be, how I choose to be, where I choose to be. I mean, where people can say, well, you could be incarcerated and you don't get to choose where you are. Yeah, you do. Maybe not physically,
You
but
did.
your attitude, your
Mm.
who you hang out with,
Mm.
where you place yourself in the room. Like, I think we are so
Wow.
focused as people on what we can't do, what is where our limits are, that we become limited because we're fixated on our limits.
Ooh. Hey, 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 hey.
Because what we choose to focus on is what we create as a reality. So
Oh wow.
the
Oh
limited,
wow. Say that again.
what about limit? We become limited human beings
Yeah.
because
You
we
know
choose to
where?
focus on our limits, right? And where focus
Mm.
goes, energy flows, right? We create more of what we focus on. So if we're focused on our limits, we create more limits. We become more limited. because that's what we're focused on. We could be in a limitless, which we are, by the way, a limitless universe, and see ourselves as limited
I
beings,
agree.
because that's what we're focused on. We were conditioned to focus on that. I mean, little kids come into the world like anything's possible. And of course I can become an astronaut and a model and a mother of 15. And to kids, there's like no limits. Like I could be a zoologist, and I could be a psychologist. I could be this, I could be that. I could be all of those things. And then we teach them, no. You have to choose something. You can't be all these things. Right?
Oh my
and
goodness.
in so many ways, we're told, no. That is the most overused word in any language. No. But not for the right things. Where we should have boundaries and be saying, no, we don't use that word enough. So we're a little mixed up. But a lot of it, it's just this, I don't even know where I'm going with this thread, but privilege is an opportunity to be, is how I would define it, to go back to your original question. Found my way back.
Yeah, it's okay. I told you we're going to be all over the place. We're going to be all over the place, and we'll be centered.
Yes, actually, when I'm all over the place.
But no,
so can I say something really quickly about that? It's a funny little story.
Go ahead. Okay.
Some people may call it ADHD. I don't think I have ADHD. I might have ADD. I don't know. I was never diagnosed, but I think I'm visionary, and my brain just pops off. That's just, it's being visionary, in my opinion. But when I was, right, exactly. When I was working my way through grad school, so I worked, while I went to get my master's degree, and I worked as a cocktail waitress, was one of my jobs. And I worked at this really cool bar that was a piano bar. So we had people from all over the place. But one of my favorite things was on certain nights, you'd get all the old regulars who would go, because we were just down the street from, like Deepak here in North Carolina. So where all the shows, all the plays and stuff go on. So we had that version in Denver, and we were right down the street from that. So a lot of times people would go from, the plays, the shows, and then go to the bar, for some drinks or whatever. And a lot of people that go to those things, same thing in New York, are themselves actors, right? Singers, that kind of thing. So the typical thing, they would come to this piano bar because these older folks who've been doing this for years would sit around the piano bar. They tell Polly, our piano,
and perform.
He was always the guy that only one guy played the piano, and he was there certain days of the week. And he was blind, and he was blind from birth, and he taught himself how to play piano, and he could play anything. Anybody from any culture could come and say, "Do you know?" And he would know it, and he could play it. It was unbelievable. So it was a lot like Cheers Bar. I don't know if you ever watched the show Cheers, but like it had that feel to it. So anyway, one of the nights I worked was the night that these people would, I don't know why they chose this particular night, but they would come and they would sit around the bar, and they would have their old fashions and their special drinks, and they would sing. They would sing show tunes, and it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. But they also like to buy us shots. I can say this because there's a statute of limitations on it. But they would line, all of our favorites, our regulars would buy us, those of us who were we were working, they would buy us shots, right? And we knew the shot by the person, because certain people would like to buy us certain shots. And so we would have, we would divide our place where, we were picking up drinks and stuff between the two sides. There were two of us on. So my side was one side, and her, whoever I was working with was on the other side, and our shots would be on the sides that we worked on. And so over the night, these shots would start lining up, and people were like, do your shots. I'm like, I'm busy. I can't be sitting over doing shots. But I swear, the times that I knew, there's like too much, not enough. I'm one of those people, if I drink a soda and it has caffeine, most people, it gets them all like this. It gets me super grounded and centered. And it was the same thing with alcohol. That fine line where I was just hitting it. It just, I was like, this is really bad. I could end up being an alcoholic. I don't think this is a good thing. Because I'm like, if I need that edge, I'll just be like, I just need to do a couple of shots, and I got that edge. But anyway, didn't happen, which is good. But when when you said that, it's like typically I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but there's certain things that ground me that for other people tend to have the opposite effect.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it's know
Yep.
thyself. I
You
just
know, you
wanted to
say
share
that.
that little
mine,
personal
mine
story.
is if we are all around and it hits, I wouldn't say my bedtime, but if I get sleepy, there's a point between, just being really up and engaged, and then right between, okay, gentlemen, I think I'm gonna call it a night, or if you keep me up at that point, and I'm with you, or it's usually with family when we had family gatherings. I become a clown. I mean, a serious clown, and it wouldn't stop. Just jokes just start rolling, and teasing, and jesting, and it's so when you say that you're taking the shots and you're just hitting centered. When I get to my center place of sleep, not sleeping, and you
Deprivation.
guys
Yeah.
still want to be up, okay, then we'll be up. Yeah. So no, but you were talking about being limitless, and how can we create that environment for ourselves? How can we not only, yeah, I think for ourselves, because we can only give what we know. Because if I've been limited my entire life, I cannot bring a child, or I cannot engage in a place where I'm going to become someone who shares no limits, right? I have to share what I know. So how can we create this environment for ourselves first, where we are limitless? And how do you even begin? Because when the very first thing we say to ourselves, Traci, is I can't do it. So fear, doubt, all these different things that I'm not able, I'm not ready. Last night we were at this talk series, Verlin and I, and this 24-year-old, 24, a young woman. I'm telling you, this lady is talking about how at 16, her mom and her aunts here in these around the world where there's poverty, men who have means, and it's usually men in power who have means, come, they find a beautiful girl, young girl, and say, I want to take care of the family. I would like to have this girl as my girlfriend. I want to take care of her. And in the deal, he buys or rents a place for the parents, um, does things for them. And she's telling a story about how this guy came at 16, right out of high school. He was in the government, and he wanted her, but he told the parents, and the parents, a single mother, and the relatives, that, hey, I'm gonna take care of you all, and just wanna, and everybody around her said, yes, yes, do it, because this is the way out, this is the way out. And she said to herself, heck no, I'm not doing it. I know who I want to become. At 20, I want to be married. If this happens, I'm not marrying this man. This man is going to see me as a toy. And long story short, I'm going to be used up, and I'll have to be on him, and he's going to find another one younger than me when the time comes, right? And I will be left in. So she said to herself, I'm not going to limit myself to eating my tomorrow's food today because of hunger. And then she goes and says, Traci, she says how after her, after she refused, the very next week, they were put out of the house and they were homeless. And her mom was saying, and her aunts were saying, well, if you had done this, we wouldn't be homeless. And she was like, I don't care. So with that story as a backdrop, and so many different variations or permutations of how we may limit ourselves. I know that one just popped in, but what does that environment look like for me? But how would you model this environment that says, hey, you're limitless, so that then I can take it, daisy chain it into another environment where anybody who I engage with, I'm giving that fuel to them. You're limitless. You're limitless. You're limitless.
Mm. Well, first of all, I think you gave a really good example. I think that that young woman, that was an example of being limitless, in many ways. Like, even though people would look at her
Yeah.
situations as limited, right? You're limited, and you need to make these decisions
Yes.
based on your limitedness, right? Because you're limited, you don't have the means, you don't
Mm,
have the privilege, you don't have all these things. You have only certain choices. You're limited in your choices. And she said, no, there's an option that you're not providing that I have, and that is to say no and to
mm.
choose a different path. And
Wow.
that really is, I mean, limitless isn't always like, strawberries and chocolate. I don't know why that's coming to mind. It's not all sweet and fabulous. Sometimes the limitless choice seems hard on the surface, right? That in fact, there's a saying that
Mm,
in many cultures where, the right decision because it's the hard one. It's the hard one to make, not for the heart. The heart knows, but for the head, right? The logic, the conditioning is in our logic, right? We've been logically conditioned to think this and that, and this is, this is available, this isn't available. If we don't do this, then that will happen, and we won't have any more, abundance or whatever. Very limited, right? Very lack mindset is another way of looking at it.
mm.
But in reality, we are limitless beings. We have always been limitless. The universe is limitless. Everything is limitless. I mean, the fact that people come along each century, and right now it's an Elon Musk type. I mean, and they create something that goes and surpasses limits, right? We used to think the world is flat. Some people still think it is. But
Mm,
then, we get to these advancements and understandings where we're like, oh, we thought that was the limit, but no, we can do more. No, we can do more. No, we can do more. No, there's more available. There's
mm.
there's actually I just started watching it last night, a great documentary called Visionaries, and
Mhm.
I think it's on Roku, like live TV, just their regular TV, and it is so cool. It is with why am I blanking? He was in the Matrix. Keanu Reeves. So Keanu Reeves, some people don't know this, but
Keanu. Uh-huh.
Keanu Reeves co-owns a motorcycle company where they create, and you should see these
Okay.
arch motorcycles. Anyway, it's arch, I think, or arch. Anyway, these really super aerodynamic, freaking cool looking motorcycles. He and his business partner, both love motorcycles, and they met, because Keanu wanted to develop this new kind of motorcycle, and he was looking for somebody to design it. But they're kind of the commentators.
Mhm.
But what they do is they go into all of these amazing things where people have been limitless in their, their creations, right? They're creative. Like, there is no cap on our creativity
Mm.
unless we put one there. Right. I saw that with my mother.
None.
My mother was just always creating
Mm.
things beyond what we're like, you can't do that. And she would do it. Like, I've seen it happen multiple times, but there was one story in this documentary where there's a guy, and he looks really young, but they were at Cape Canaveral, and he was getting ready to watch his rocket that was a 3D printed rocket. 3D printer made this rocket that went
Oh my
into
goodness.
outer space, right? And they watched the launch of this 3D printer
Wow.
generated rocket, which people would say, nah, 3D printer? Like, nah, right? So I think in reality, and we're starting to see this because things are just moving
Don't
so
do it.
fast, and
Don't do it.
technology is moving so fast, and new generations are not being given the same limits as our generations were, that we're seeing this increase, this ability to think more limitlessly. And I would say, to your question, it's in the mindset. It's catching ourselves. It's not, so many people say the mindset, you got to be open-minded, and it's a gotta be thing. And back to what we talked about last time about noticing, it's in our observations, catching ourselves when we start to tell a limiting story, or have a limiting emotion, limited emotion, right? It's limiting us. Fear is one of them. You said fear. Fear will limit us like no other. And notice that. I did this yesterday. I was feeling really under the weather. So I just cleared my entire schedule. I said, my body needs me. That's not something I do. It's not typical for me. So I really,
I like that. I like that.
Dove into this like my body needs me. And so I didn't sleep at all the night before. So part of it, I was severely like sleep deprived. And I thought, I'm not going to go push myself through the bunch of lunches and meetings and stuff that I had on my plate. So I just texted everybody and I said, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. I'm
Good for you.
Schedule. And I spent the day, I couldn't really rest because I was and that's how these days I know something needs to come up within me, because I can't rest. My body won't let me rest. And what I typically did is I would just feed it into activities instead of what my body really wants is for me to listen. Right? I have something to tell you, but you've got to slow down and be quiet to hear it. And you also have to engage with me and not turn away from the discomfort. And so all day yesterday, I went through periodic practices of meditation where I would just feel sensations going on in my body, and I felt fear come up, and I felt shame come up, and I felt, what else came up yesterday? Sadness. A lot of sadness came up, and I sat with it, and sometimes I felt it in different parts of my body. I'm one of that strange. I think it said there's 5% of the population that get seasonal allergies that don't manifest those allergies as like stuffy, watery, running eyes and nose. That instead it's digestive, because that's where the immune system is. It's in our digestion. So the immune system is what gets compromised, and the histamine response is an immune response. And so I'll get reflux. I'll get digestive stuff, right? So we're right in it right now. So I get these. It's really fun, let me tell you. But, so I was feeling into that and saying, maybe this has something to do, it's seasonal allergies, but also there could be this release valve that needs to be cleared out, right? That I need to release. I'm carrying, could be generational, could be personal, could be who knows where it's coming from. That's not important. But I'm carrying these emotions because they felt old and heavy. They didn't just feel like, oh, something happened yesterday and I needed to release it. And so I just spent time sitting with it, not trying to push it out, not trying to psychoanalyze it, not trying to do anything with it, just witness it. And wouldn't you know, so much shifted. In fact, at one point, I found myself, because your body will tell you what you want. Like, you're like, oh, I'm feeling fear. Oh, I feel it in my stomach. That's interesting. Let me sit with that. And then intuitively or instinctively, your body will say, different things. Like in this case, it was like, I need more love there. Because, I'm asking the question, what do you need? Right? I can feel you stomach or immune system or whatever. I can feel you struggling. What do you need? And the answer was, I need more love. So I just focused love. And there's probably some people, I might lose some people on this one. Sorry if you're not following me, but I focused love on my stomach, on my digestive system. And I sat there, and all of a sudden, my stomach's like, and like I hadn't eaten in days. I mean, it is just going ballistic. Like, it's talking like up a storm. And that must have gone on for about 30 seconds. was like witnessing that too. I'm like, huh, interesting. It has a lot to say about that love that it's finally getting. Like, I couldn't tell if it was happy, sad about it. I don't think it has emotions in that regard. It was just processing, but it was processing. It was processing, and it was processing. And as it was processing, the feelings were alleviating, right? The damp, dark, hard,
Wow.
heavy feelings started to alleviate, and I started to feel lighter, and I started to feel less of whatever, the sadness or the anger or the fear or the whatever, frustration. And then it just dissipated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's just one example. But all day long I went in and out of doing a few things around the house, resting, doing some emails, resting, just doing and being, like this kind of flow of doing and being.
Yeah.
And I slept so soundly last night, and I woke up so much lighter today. And that was one day that I gave myself. So imagine if we were giving ourselves more than one day to just say, I'm feeling something that needs attention. And instead of busying myself with my agenda, instead of letting my calendar lead my life, that's being limitless. Because we limit ourselves to saying, oh, but if I don't do that, I'm putting this person out, I'm putting that. Well, they get to choose to be put out or not. In this moment, but you promised to do, I promised to do those things like 2 weeks ago. But right now, my body's calling me. Right? And if I keep neglecting my body, it's not going to be here to do all those other things. So, that's just something that people could consider, because we're really not good at that in general. We have to get sick and then we're just like sitting there waiting to get well, instead of really going in and dancing with what's going on inside of ourselves so that we understand.
Correct. I had that day today, I think. So I told you how we were busy. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to relax today. I'm not going to do a thing. I'm going to rest. I'm going to eat. I will watch an episode of something that I like, and I will just relax. Now, this is part of my relaxation, so it's coming here to talk, but it is so important. I like how you put it. My body needs me. So it's just like your child who needs you, what you put every single thing down and you attend to them. We tend to, and I like the hey, what's going on, Carl? Hope all is well. Good to see you, man. It's so important that when the plane's going down, put your mask on first before you help another person. And I like how you said it, that I can keep doing my promises. There's a limit that's going to arrive that I will not be able to do any other promise down the line, because I have pooped off my body. But you said, just thinking limitless and catching yourself. I like that. It's like putting a funnel on your thoughts, so that a funnel with two parts, a yes and a no part, where when it comes in, you go, limit, put it in a no. It's in fact, it's a trash bin, right? Put in the trash bin, and think the opposite. What am I going to do in this? I can go to this young lady who spoke yesterday. She's 24. Liberia had a civil war in 1990. It's been 30 plus years? Been 30 plus years. So she's born in post-war Liberia, where education is poor because all of the teachers left. You have schools popping up just for making money. So it's really damaged, but it's picking up. And I said to myself, how I didn't ask her this question because I wanted to ask her how your subjects and your verbs are agreeing. They're not in disagreement. Your words, your vocabulary is just, I mean, amazing. You have a stage presence, your public speaking skills, and she's going around Africa in a political leadership pro council. She's the head of a council, the youth council to the president. How did you do it? And didn't even know that we're going to come today to come and talk about being limitless, because this there is nothing around her. There could be there was, she said, there was church, there was Sunday school, there was impartation of the word to her, that she was limitless. She said the same word, she was limitless, and she could do anything as long as she focused on the right things, right? But how can how can she be in the dust where everything around you at that level is dark, or the young children are on Instagram doing, taking pictures showing their youth? How can you be thinking otherwise? And I like how you said, just arrest it, put it in the dustbin, do the opposite of it. Now I'm thinking, so we always do this. I use this show as my lab, because I'm now thinking about my limited thinking in things. I'm looking and trying to pick, where am I thinking limits? Where am I thinking limits, so that I can respectfully, um, logically, not stupidly, because there's something, if I can't swim and I say I want to swim across the ocean, please don't go
Right.
jump in the ocean and swim, because you don't know
Well,
how to swim.
we
Go
have
and
to
learn
remember
first.
about
The things
preparedness
gotta.
too. Preparedness. Sorry, I didn't mean to just
There
interrupt, but
you go.
like
There you
there's
go.
there's that aspect of
No,
limitless
there you go.
preparedness, right? Because somebody said something today that I was
Yes.
listening to, and they said,
Yes.
I can ask God for X. And then I sit there and I yell and scream at God, why aren't you bringing me X? And God says, I am bringing you X, but I'm also bringing you Y and Z to prepare you for X. Because if I brought you X now, you wouldn't know how to care for it. You wouldn't be sustainable in your
Mm.
ability to hold X. So I'm giving you more than you asked for. I'm giving you
Wow.
preparedness and the thing, so that you are prepared to hold that thing once it comes. And that's what we forgot.
Mm.
Again,
Mm.
man plans, God laughs. It's one of those things, we just think we figured this thing out and that we know to the nth degree. And the more we tinker with God's creations, the more we mess them up. And that is everything from the body, human body, to our environment. We need to start getting along with God's
Yeah.
plan, and understanding we may not like it, and it's maybe forcing patience and humility and all sorts of things on us, which is good. But part
Mm.
of it also too, like lately in the United
Mm.
States, with the stories being what they are, about the decisions that are being made in government and all of that, I'm always stopping to think, and I did this with the last administration.
Mhm.
This is okay. If my ultimate
Mhm.
belief is God is providing this for us, then I am giving
Mhm.
this thing right now the wrong narrative. I'm railing against it, or I don't like it, or okay. Well, if I really feel it's for me, then I'm not giving it a narrative that aligns with that for me thing. So how can I shift the narrative? I mean, is that really my belief? Yes, fundamentally it is. Absolutely 100%. So I got to live my belief,
Mhm.
right? I've got to apply my belief. I've got to witness myself and see where I go off track with my beliefs, chosen ones, the ones that work for me, and say,
Yeah.
okay, well
Yeah.
then I am not copacetic with my belief in this story I choose to spin on this perspective I'm giving this situation. So how can I shift that perspective,
Mm.
shift that narrative to align with the belief that this is for me?
Mm.
And I'll tell you what, so
Mm.
many things, again, talking about limitless, we have a limitless ability to tap into all sorts of information that we aren't seeing right now. only if we allow for it. If I'm like, nope, it's like this, I'm only going to see this, right? And that's limited, right? Because that's this much of the story. this one little slice of the perspective, or the holistic truth. So that's the piece, is catching ourselves when we are not aligned. My beliefs and my narrative aren't aligned. My decision and what my heart's telling me, the data that my emotional intelligence is feeding me, and my cognitive decision to go over here are not aligned, right? Like noticing and then doing something about what we notice. Maybe we're not ready to pull a trigger on something, but doing something could be, I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to sit with that more. I'm going to be more aware of that in other parts of my life. Right? That's doing something with it. Right? It isn't always making a decision to uproot and do something totally opposite. Maybe we're not ready, right? Giving ourselves our own preparedness, right? But it's about collecting data, allowing ourselves to collect data even when it's uncomfortable, right? Allowing ourselves to know. And I think that's what's really hard for people is if they don't like something, they push back on it, and what we resist persists. So they create more resistance within themselves and within the world. And that's not getting them any more data to help them understand things from a more holistic perspective. So I think it's just, how am I feeling? Because we can feel resistance. We can feel it. I was talking to a client earlier today and said, it sounds to me like what you're experiencing right now is, when I look at things from this angle, I feel resistance. When I look at them from this angle, I feel resistance. So I said, well, what if you tried to go the middle route, right? What if you created a path through, as opposed to trying to be in one or the other, going through the valley between the mountains instead of trying to go over the mountains. And how does that feel?
Gotcha.
And so we talked through the particular point that we were discussing, and she goes, oh yeah, because each one had a truth to it, right? So she couldn't completely abandon either one of them, because something within each of them felt true. But then when she took the path in the middle, she didn't choose completely one or completely the other. She allowed herself to thread through the middle. That was really what it was about. And so that's just one example, but we have a limitless and unlimited ability to know what we need to know to make the right decisions for ourselves. We can trust that. And I don't think we do. I think that's the biggest issue. We have eroded our own self-trust because we have conditioned ourselves to be completely dependent on the outside world to tell us things. Google, what is? Mom, what should I do? President of the United States, how does this need to be handled? Like, what does my boss want from me? What does my significant other want from me? We become people pleasers to the point that we do not know how to tap into our own internal inner guidance system.
Wow. I'm hearing boldness. So the past few days I've been meditating on, I think it's Luke 22:31 and 32 says, this is Jesus talking to Simon Peter, and he says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat, but I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. The part that gets me was Jesus prayed for him. And I thought to myself, but Jesus's prayers continue for me today. And what is he praying for me? He's not praying, oh, I pray that Wulwyn stumbles. I pray that he's limited. I pray. No, it's wonderful. It's that I will prosper. It's that everything I touch, I'm going to go and strengthen my brothers, my sisters. I will grow things. I will build things that are sustainable. And then I thought to myself, but if If my God is praying that for me, my doubts and my fears here, when I see this, when somebody brings this Epcot Center to me and say, I want to give it to you, I'd be like, I can't. I don't think I can. No, I've been prepared to do every single place that I'm going to walk. Every single place I'm going to walk, Tracy, after I've been prepared. I'm going to put an ellipse. Ellipse is there. Every single place. Now, here's what I'm saying. At 51, 52 years old, there's not a whole lot of preparedness I can go through now to do what I need to do in the future. I'm going to go on. There are tweaks that I will need, but trust me, I've been prepared and I know where it is. I know it's in engineering. I know it's in science. I know it's in building. I know where my lean is. You know it's in human design and understand. You're not going to walk in an engineering space to build a spaceship, because in this time you're needed to build humans to do greater. Does it make sense? I know that in this season, wherever I walk, it's not to go and do human design. No, it's to go and build things. I know I'm going to get in a space that if Epcot Center comes in and says, and the reason I'm saying Epcot is because I just love that place in there and all its
Yeah,
scientific,
yeah, it's pretty cool. Although you
the
don't want Disney
science,
to
the
come.
technology behind
You
it,
don't
you
want
know?
Disney. No, no, no.
No,
Epcot without the Disney.
but year is where I'm walking. So when I walk in this space, I know the prayer, my fears and my doubts that I've never done this before. Nah, go and you've been prepared to do it. How do you think? How do you think you will do big things? It's by doing little things. And how do you do little things? By trusting your preparedness and trusting your process. That when you build the Lego in one piece at a time, it turns into this huge thing that all you're doing is you're following your systems and your processes that you've developed in your preparedness period. So when I hear Jesus is praying for me, Tracy, I'm telling you there's a spirit of boldness, a spirit of trust, a spirit of, I know what I've been placed on this earth to do. And man, am I going to do it? I am going to do it. So see how, wow, it's just amazing how we started with prejudice. No, with
Privilege.
what's the word? We started
Privilege.
with privilege. We started with privilege. We moved on to limitless. I'm going through this you're talking about sitting with yourself. My body needs X. I'm going through how, oh my goodness, if Jesus is praying for me, come on, give me a brick. And I've been prepared. I can step in my lean and do what I'm supposed to do, because now I'm bold and I'm limitless. It all ties in.
We've
Tracy,
always been.
ah,
We've always
this
been.
is
And,
amazing.
I remember a
It's amazing.
conversation. Remember a conversation I had with some of the inmates when I was working at Butner? And we were talking about the power of
Uh-huh.
intention, right? And how intentional how
Hmm.
superpower that we have of intention, like what we intend tends to manifest. And I said, I asked the men, I
Correct.
said, when you look back on your lives, has anything ever gotten worse? Now, I'm not saying short term. I'm saying as we look at the whole trajectory of your life, haven't things always improved? Maybe they haven't on paper, but you gained all this wisdom. Like something
Hmm.
you gained in some way. You may
Hmm.
have lost money, but you gained, you gained wisdom. You may have, not a relationship didn't work out, but you gained a better understanding of yourself, so that you now go into the world differently. But has any and one of the men was really digging in. He goes, "No, I can say that like where I am right now is the worst place I've ever been." And I said, "Okay, well then
Hmm.
let's look at the power of intention piece." And we threaded things back, and I kept asking him questions, and I said, "At that point in your life, what were you praying for? What were you intending? What did you work so hard to have the power and the money and the privilege and the titles? Why were you working so hard for those things? And he said, freedom. I said, so then you've gotten exactly what you asked for. It's coming in the form of prison, but you are freer now than you've ever been in your entire life. And he had to sit there for a few minutes, and he was like, you asked for freedom. You just weren't very intentional about how you were going to get it. Right now you're in a place where we're sitting here talking about what it means and what you want and being intentional and doing it from a place not of unconscious decision making, but conscious decision making. Right. And so now you're in a different state, but you've always been limitless. We will always be manifesting what we're intending, whether we're aware of that or whether we're not. And he had to lose everything to find himself. And when we find ourselves, we're free. Because we could have the whole world limiting us. We could be restricted from every angle. If we're free in here, nobody can take that from us. Right? They can take everything from out here, but nobody can take what's in here unless you give it to them. Unless you create that narrative that they have and that they can. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it, you know, and I feel like it's really important because I almost feel like I'm prepping myself, you know, for some big changes in my own life, you know. So I love these episodes because what I notice is whatever comes up in me usually holds a torch for something that I'm going to be going through, right? That I need to be reminded of, that my own, I could dial back a couple weeks and listen to what I said as I'm going through something else and being like, right? So we also carry that torch for ourselves. And the more we allow ourselves to listen, that it isn't just about others that we're sharing that, it's first and foremost for ourselves. If that's something that we feel will help us, you know, the whole thing where what would your future self say to your past self or your current self? You know, it's that kind of thing. We can tap into that at any time.
Yeah.
And that's a privilege.
Wow, Traci,
That's a privilege.
True. Wow, you know, my quietest moment on this show today was connecting his freedom in prison. You know, the just when you, as soon as you said it, I got it. And he was waiting and thinking it, and I could see him get free, you know, I mean, I could see him get in the state of freedom. Traci, I'm quiet. Take us out.
I love it.
That twist on it was amazing. So you can take us out. We got about a minute.
Well, I really appreciate these, that, you know, and
it's your
really, what's really wonderful is we never know who's going to hear them now, in the future, you know, but again, this is about us being able to have this is how it started. I think we started having conversations between the two of us. And there was value in that because, again, between the two of us, because we are so synchronized, we feed each other, right? Like, so it's like a building situation. And we're able to share things and work things out. It's like a great brainstorming session that we need, right? And we offer that for ourselves, but also for one another. And then your idea to say, hey, what if we open this up for other people in case there's something we talk about that can be beneficial for them as well? I think that's really what life is about, you know, and I think we're coming to that place as we've gotten so caught up in the conditioning around what it looks like to live a good life. And now we're really allowing ourselves to experience, is that the case? Is that maybe not exactly how I want it? Is that, you know, and again, you said we used these episodes almost like going into a scientific lab to test things out. Let's talk
Yeah.
about this and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think as a collective
Mm.
humanity, we're all in that space. And it can be uncomfortable. Like, this is not really fitting, like putting on a bathing suit after winter season when you haven't gone on a diet yet. It could be super uncomfortable, and you're like, oh, God, what happened over the winter? But it can be uncomfortable. But the whole point is we're trying to see what fits. We're trying to see what looks good and what feels good for us in our lives and all of this. And it's all part of the process. So if we feel that we're limitless and we pay attention to what we're feeling, thinking, sensing, and intuiting, then it's going to be an interesting experiment. We tend to find our way out and into that next that we're looking for.
Hey, all part of the process. Traci's been a good one. See you in 2 weeks, March 26th. Hope all goes well with you and all of you in podcasts. I know, right? All right, y'all. Have a good one. See you. Those on #replay. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye, Traci.
Everyone. Bye.